going on, people? All right, people are filing in. Nice to see you all. Let me throw something up real quick here. Hello, welcome to Coffee with Curtis, wherever you are in the world. Everyone's filing in. Hello, Hatcham House, what up? Greetings. Gosh, I miss you guys. We got Mexico in the house. We got France in the house. We got Van City in the house. Aaron, what up? What's good, famo? We've got my Spanish people in the house. Thank you for tuning in, guys. What's up, Kev? What's up, Kyle? How's everyone doing today? I see a lot of questions popping up here, so keep those questions coming in, guys. I'm gonna save those a little bit. Save them for a little bit later. Ian and I will get to them shortly. We're just setting up here, and Ian will be joining us shortly.
Hi. We found a random way to do this. This is so random. This is how it happens when you have two actors working on something.
This is how it happens. All right, so for all you guys on here, on IG, if you have any questions, send them over. We will get to them shortly, I promise. In the meantime, we're gonna catch up on here.
Great at that right now.
We're trying our darndest, but we got an hour on this thing, so I just wanted to jump right into it, man.
Good.
So much has happened, obviously, in the last 7 months, 6 months.
Yeah.
But I saw you right before I left back in June. We had that epic last hike together.
See.
And even within that, a lot's happened, obviously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Because you were here at the beginning of the beginning when everything started going down. You were still here.
I was there literally when things were starting to pop off. Right?
Yeah.
And then we had to go take care of some family business overseas, so we popped out over there, and then I kind of just ended up stuck over there.
Mm-hmm.
But all is good. All is good. It's been a heck of a time to. Right now, I'm in a really great place. It's allowed me to unplug, and as I'm transitioning back into the swing of things back here, having that time has really just been wonderful. You know what I mean? My relationship with it all has been great, and man, I'm taking nothing for granted. Like, especially coming out of a 14-day quarantine, it's all the little things, man. It's all the simple things. Even just, like I said, getting a haircut. I mean,
Right.
seeing old friends and all that. So it's been good, which is why I was so adamant on making this work, because this had to happen.
Yes. It'd been it'd been like a seriously hot minute since we actually talked, let alone on something public where people are watching us.
Yes.
It's not like a crazy amount of people, so it's the hardcore fans
that are putting up with this ghetto production right here.
I'm now putting up with this seriously janky production quality that we've got going on. Switching back between new ones because I can see perfect, two perspectives. Because all they're looking at is my face and hearing your voice, and it's got to be a little disorienting.
What I'm realizing though is that we limit how often you can do certain things on Instagram to protect our community. Tell us, shut up, Instagram.
Are they giving you time's almost over rules already?
They're putting me on timeout.
Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. Oh wow, I'll take those. I'll take those nicknames. Who's Barnacle Boy?
I guess I'll take that.
Yeah, I guess you're Barnacle Boy.
So I've realized that we haven't really spoken since we got the news on the show, which is why I think this could be epic.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to unpack that with you, if you will.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Um,
Yes, Siren is canceled, by the way. There have been a few people that have been confused about it, and they're still, they still comment on it. The show is officially over.
we all decided that it was time.
Yeah, it was a group decision.
It was a group decision. Things just didn't make sense to go forward. That's all.
Such consensus.
For those
between
watching
us all.
that are randomly here, Ian and I have worked. We've done 3 seasons together on this show called Siren. It's where we met. It's where we've had 3 wonderful seasons together. He played a character called Xander. I played a character called Calvin, and they were best friends on the show. And that's what brings us here today. Surprise! We're actually really great friends in real life.
See, we are.
Yeah,
We are.
But yeah, so I mean, I think it's been it was a really interesting sort of decision and how it all went down.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the time was right. The storyline, it ended in a way that sort of made perfect sense. And any good show has the capability of doing that, and Siren did just that.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, I won't speak for you, but like when we were ending things at the end of the last season, it definitely felt to me like there was a consensus with us that this would probably be it. Like that last rap party. We were all. It was all kind of like we were saying goodbye almost.
Right.
Like it was usually the rap parties was like, oh, we'll see you again, we'll see you next year, but it was like it was a much more emotional end to everything, because even reading the final script before we saw it, there was a sense of finality. So I mean, I think when we finally got the call, I think all of us were a little like okay, it kind of just waiting for confirmation more than anything, than it being like pure shock. Right. So at the very least we all had the opportunity to to love each other, and then to let each other go on to whatever our new journeys would be. I mean, of course, we didn't know 2020 would be what 2020 became. Right. So we had no idea how harrowing it would all be. But, oh, hey.
Block people.
Block. Yeah, like I'm at least very thankful for that. Like, of course, thankful for like you and for everybody for being able to meet and work with anybody in the first place. It's just friendships and relationships that will just last a lifetime. Like, you are an incredible human being, just awesome, and I love you dearly. And I can say that about everybody on the cast and everybody in the crew. And I'm just super excited to see what everybody does next. It was all of us. It was our big thing. It was our first big thing for everybody.
That was our first big thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. I'm gonna pull over some things from the phone over to here so we can show it. But,
bring everybody into the combo.
But I'll never forget the first day we met at the read through. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. There was there's something to be said about that. I think with any show, you're going to give it your best to try to make a great first impression. But I mean, I think anybody you talk to that was on the show can attest to this. There was something special about the alchemy of just the people that were involved in this show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you and I.
Although, we can talk about this now. The show's over.
As long as whatever.
Exactly. It's like we don't, even though we won't be like naming names. See, this is why you stay on the live. This is why you watch. Because it's not getting saved later. But you remember the reading, because I remember
yes,
so.
I do.
Yeah, so specifically because for those who don't know, there was another Maddie when we originally, before we actually shot the pilot, but right after things were cast, in the very first table read, there was a different Maddie. Mm-hmm. And that Maddie in particular cursed a lot. She made up a lot of swear words.
So should we set up the context? Like,
Yeah, set up the context.
At the table read with like all the execs. There's people Skyping in from Los Angeles. You know, we're talking Disney folks here. And yeah, there was all of a sudden just like F-bombs and shit bombs flying all over the place. And we're
So many shit bombs.
we're like, oh, okay. Oh, interesting.
Also, there were children in that pilot. And the children's parents.
That's right.
In the room.
That's right.
And the director came up to us specifically and said, "Don't fuck this up." Pretty much.
So, like I said, very from the get-go, very special.
Yeah. So special.
But yeah, I mean, you and I connected immediately. You know what I mean? I remember we went for lunch and you know, without even knowing sort of the fully realized picture of what our relationship was on the show, we knew that we were friends, and we put in that effort to make sure that came off authentic, right? And
yeah.
And so I'm just gonna pull up a couple things here. But
oh crap! What are you pulling up? Are you pulling up some like pictures from 4 years ago or something?
Well, you know, possibly. You know,
some like really embarrassing photos.
No, not at all, not at all. But you know, the I want to talk about the journey of Xander and Calvin. You know, the
Yes.
dynamic duo.
So
what a fun journey that was, man. And how that sort of mirrored, you know, us in real life as well. And you know, I have all of these wonderful moments documented where, you know, I remember after we had shot the pilot, and then when we were waiting for the show to get picked up, and then when we found out finally that the show got picked up, I have us on FaceTime talking, and all these moments I knew would be one day very, very, you know, dear and special to me. So can you see
a few of those too? Where are you showing it?
Well, let's start here, man. So this is the pilot.
Oh yes.
Right.
Hold on. Show that to the lives.
Yeah. So North Star crew coming at you hard.
Spectacular. That was a cold freaking night.
This was from the pilot episode that we did. So this was the first time working together. You, me, Chad Rook. We're missing Ben here and your dad.
Yes. Wait, what? Ben wasn't there? Alex wasn't there?
He wasn't there, but I mean, technically he was part of the crew, right? At some point.
Yeah, but like he wasn't on that night. He wasn't there. It was the three of us.
That's right.
It was the three of us. And then we had to, it was when the mermaid was let loose and on the boat, we caught her, and then she what is it? She hurts Chris. We try and like, you know, we hear the song, right? Is that what it is?
Well, he hears it.
I can't remember it.
But no, this for the pilot. No, for the pilot, we just catch Donna.
Yes, we just caught Donna, but I forget why he was the one. It's been so long since I even watched the pilot. I think he heard, we like go out looking for it, and then, or he hears the song, he gets injured, and then we grab him, and then here we're like tending to him, he's bleeding out in the boat, and then we come out. It's all jumbled in my head because when we were shooting it, all the outdoor rain shit, we all shot at the same time.
That's right. I think you're
so
getting,
it's all like jumbled around in my head.
That in episode 7 sort of crossed.
That could be true because it all.
The first one, all that happens is that we catch this thing, and then it attacks Chris.
Oh, we go out looking again, and we don't find anything because that's when the helicopter comes down.
Later on, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. My memory is coming back. I'm a little bit older than when we shot the pilot.
What was your favorite Xander and Calvin duo moment?
Moment? Oh, wow. You know what? I would say one of the really fun things is when we spent all that time in the car in season 1 outside the house, the nurse's house. Like that was a lot of fun because I think that was the most time that I think at that point that was like the most like we got to actually shoot together,
Right.
And kind of like understand a rapport. It was a shit ton of fun. I remember one night was just really late, and then the other one was super early or some shit. I don't. Was it that early? I remember one day it was really hot when we went in that house, and they had me in that like 5-layer jacket.
We were shooting in the thick of summer, and
Yeah, it's like August.
And you had to have this burly jacket on.
Big giant jacket on. And then every season, by the time winter came on, I was wearing like the thinnest little like windbreaker by the time it was actually freezing cold outside.
So hilarious. Yeah,
perfect.
Those were really fun because, you know, we were out and about. We were in a really nice sort of naturesque area. Which is cool. I loved that first scene. It was episode 2 when you come crashing in on me and Janine.
Oh yeah.
Chris reached out to you with his SOS text. The guy's dying, but somehow he's able to get his phone and text you.
SOS.
He could have said anything else.
911.
He could have told us where he was. He could have told us anything, but he just said SOS.
Hey guys, I'm in a weird hospital place. No information about where he may or may not be.
Yeah.
Also, no cops. Although if you were kidnapped and in a military base or something like that, you probably wouldn't necessarily be inspired to dial 911. I'd say not.
Especially because they are 911, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's probably not going to inspire confidence.
Yeah.
In that particular institution at this moment. I just remember being really. I mean, I was sweaty the whole time. Every time we were shooting, like I was constantly. Those who don't know, I'm that person. I'm that sweaty person that's always sweaty.
This fool. It's on the keyboard. Okay, great. This fool. No, I see the camera. Diva much?
The Iceman cometh.
I feel so bad for all of our makeup artists, our incredible makeup team that we had on the show, because they were constantly like beating me down, keeping the glow down, because it was so much. But I also put me in those really thick sweaters on set, like that episode, like episode 2. I was in that thick sweater. I remember it was the first shot we were shooting of that episode, and it was just because episode 2 was the first thing we shot when we got there. That was the first episode of first season, really, because we shot the pilot already.
That's right.
Yeah.
This was the jacket you were wearing.
Yes, that jacket. Look at that face. Oh, youth. Look at that. Oh, look at you. You're making a face, but you look great.
That's a whole other person, man.
I mean, Jesus, look at you. Look at that dude.
I don't even recognize him anymore.
My God.
Oh
my God.
I'm curious. When you first initially booked the role of Xander, so you know we did all of the pilot and all of that. Did first of all, what were your inspirations for the character? Like, did you draw from any particular other characters out there, or any real people in real life, or anything like that?
No. I just
And did that?
I just remember
from episode 1 to 2.
I remember it not really changing from. I remember being really terrified if I was still going to be good. Like, you know, I think that's kind of like that imposter syndrome that you get, especially when it's your first big show, where you're just kind of like, oh my God, do I belong here? Do I deserve to be here? Was it a fluke? Am I going to be able to recreate what people saw on me? You know, that kind of shit goes through your head. But I just remember getting the pilot and thinking, you know, the most I can do is just bring this guy as close as I can to myself, you know, and just kind of use my own sense of humor for him. And then the rest, I feel like, was really informed by the guy on the page. You know, I always thought of him as, he was like super gruff, you know, very, very observant, very salt of the earth. You know, he was like just a dude, but he was smarter than people would give him credit for.
Right.
So I definitely remember like building a way that he would walk, like finding how he walked and finding how he held himself. Like I always slouched a bit more. Like
Right.
he always felt like he was a bit of an alcoholic. So I just kind of.
I know people on set. I mean, so like Ian on set, guys, is he's the you guys know what the Energizer Bunny out there is? That's a thing. So Ian was a real life Energizer Bunny. We could be shooting 16-hour days in the middle of winter. It's you know, constant massive downpour, and you know, at any given moment he'll just break out into song and, you know, the spirits. I feel like both of us kind of we played off of each other's energy, you know what I mean, and constantly keeping people. But it was the funniest thing. Like I wish people could see how dynamic you truly were, to go from, you know, just fooling around off camera, you know, singing God knows what, some sort of music.
Who even knows? Singing like Nicki Minaj.
Some Nicki Minaj, some you know, some Broadway musical, you know, theatrics, and action, and it's like into Xander, super like gruff, and just yeah, no, I'm
serious.
No, I want the boat. Boat's mine. Like,
Shit's getting real. Shit's getting real. Until this guy comes on set.
Fantastic. My name is Xander Calvin.
it was amazing, the shift that you were able to pull off in like at the drop of a hat. It was always beautiful to watch.
But it was always the top of the season was always a little harder because also I pitched my voice down for Xander. Like Xander, he speaks a little lower, you know. So I naturally talk up here. So a lot of times, especially like at ADR, you know, you have to go back over sometimes and re-record your lines after you shot them. That's basically ADR.
Yeah.
So and you have to I would have to remind myself, oh crap, that's not where Xander talks at all. Because I'll just sound like I'm here, you know, in comparison to how he talks. Like after a while, it becomes muscle memory, right? I'm sure you felt like that way with Calvin. It's just when you're first discovering and getting your beat for it. Because I think, isn't it for you too? Like this was like your first like consistent, longest played consistent character.
It's the longest played consistent character that had this many dimensions to it. You know?
Yeah.
Really, truly, fully realized character that really was three-dimensional. You know what I mean? But I didn't have that luxury because from the pilot to episode 2, when we came back a year later to shoot the rest of the season, in the pilot, these were the 3 things that were, I mean, besides obviously what was in the script, right? But this is all I knew, that you and I were friends. For how long, no one knew. So I made that up. Yeah. I didn't like Ben.
Yeah.
Why? Well, again, I had to make that up for myself.
I swear, dude, is this why he's taking so long? Freaking Alex is getting a massage? Oh, hell no.
That did make things, I remember it did make things awkward between me and Alex when we first met in pilot, because all I knew was that I was supposed to like hate this guy with every, you know, every part of my body. That came off weird. Every atom of my body.
No, that came out right, Curtis. It came out so right.
And that, yeah, I was this, you know, this sort of aggro dude, right? And so I played it as so. And then comes the season when we got picked up, and it's like all of a sudden it's shifted. He's no longer just this angry guy. He's like quirky, he's funny, he's kind of ridiculous. And so for me, that's when it shifted. And then I said, oh, this could be a lot of fun. I'm going to make Calvin, I'm going to try to like swing for the fence and just, I'm going to make this guy the type of guy that is just super, you know, he's impetuous, you know what I'm saying? He can be childish at times, and but I want him to do everything with just the most absolute, like, everything he does, he gives everything to. So when he's angry, he goes full 10. When he's loving, you know, he's as loyal as one can be. You know what I mean? When he's funny, he really tries to swing for it. So my references, my inspirations were Johnny Drama from Entourage, and
yes, I can so
Joey,
that, yeah.
and Joey from Friends. So those two dynamics playing at most times, which created your Calvin.
I will say, man, you had like, you know, especially by the time you got into season 3, and they gave you so much more to do as well. You know, like you really found, and especially like I worked with you, I saw you doing it, but then there's always things that you don't see when, you know, they're on camera, because there's usually when you see it on TV, because sometimes there's a camera in between us and I can't see what you're doing. But you just like you found like such great nuance and such great little like comedic moments that are so subtle and that were so fun to watch. Like you were just such a joy to watch.
Thanks, man.
It was so entertaining. I was so proud of you just to see the growth and to see the decisions that you're making and to see you kind of like push outwards towards your boundaries. Just as a fellow artist and somebody that works with you and a colleague, you know, it's great to watch. It's really encouraging, and I learned from that as well. So just, I don't know if I haven't told, I don't think I've told you that yet, but I just
you haven't, and I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, you know, that's the magic that can happen when you're having fun. You know what I mean? And and I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna toss it right back at you. That was the dynamic that we created from day one. You know what I mean? We really inspired each other to have fun in a safe place and make choices and fail, and you know what I mean? And that's what I'm most appreciative of Siren, because it was the first time that it gave me an opportunity to just try things.
Yeah.
And and realizing that if it doesn't work, then that's the beauty of television, is that you get multiple takes.
But sometimes you don't get that many. Sometimes you don't get as many as you think.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a case by case scenario, but I mean, generally speaking, you know what I mean? Like, but actually, you know what? A lot of TV shows, you know, they have so many pages to get every day.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of shows do shoot really quickly. So yeah, I mean, I still think that it was rare to, again, have the opportunity to try things. And and anyways, I credit a lot of that to the sort of culture and environment that we had created for each other and everyone at the anchor. You know, we always make,
including all the background actors.
Yes.
Like especially the background actors, because
and our stand-ins.
And our stand-ins.
They were amazing.
And they don't get enough hype and enough recognition in the industry as a whole for what they contribute to a scene and to the hard work that happened. Because I started my career as an extra. I did so much extra. The year I booked Siren, I did extra work on Westworld. I did extra work on where I bumped into Tandy Newton on the first season of Westworld.
Woo!
So
No big deal.
Whoever can go there and has an eagle eye, you can see me bumping into Tandy Newton. And
she rubbed off her magic on you.
She rubbed off all her magic. She actually, like, and it goes to show you, for all those of you that want to be actors, I remember going in to that trailer as an extra, and I was like super struggling and and I remember sitting in the makeup trailer, and Tandy Newton sat down next to me, and I was like, oh, and she was just like, oh, good morning, fellow artist, and it just made me light up so much. Like that somebody of her caliber, like, you know, you're an extra on set, you know, and it's almost like an unspoken don't fuck with the actors kind of thing when you're in that capacity on set. And to have someone at that level kind of reach out to you, and she reached out and was just like, oh, and call you a fellow artist, you know, and talk to you as if you're in it as a team. She doesn't know, and hopefully one day when I meet her, I'll be able to tell her this in person, like how much that affected me and how much it said to me and meant to me at that time. And I tried to bring that energy every time I went onto set. I was like, if ever I'm in this position, I'm going to do the same kind of thing, because I know how it feels and I know how much it means. So like I know all of us on set tried to be as magnanimous and as welcoming to every extra on that set. And they were all just such hard workers. Like everybody felt like we were on the same side, on the same team, and everybody allowed each other space to work, but at the same time, everybody was welcoming and giving. And one of the extras made me a hat. Sam made me a hat.
Made you a damn So,
damn cool hat.
just a little fun fact for people. Are people still watching? Are we still on? Or
I've still got 24 people here. Hi.
if there's any questions, let me know. If you want to take questions at any point. But
yeah, I think there might be, if there are any actual questions. And yes, Siren is canceled. I've seen that a couple of times.
Don't even tell them. Let's just keep their hopes up.
Oh no!
Just say maybe.
That's even worse. Possibly.
We're shooting an episode right here. No, but I am
right now.
I am recording this, so I'm gonna stitch all of our attempts of going live together and do a video. But
this is the socially distanced Siren.
Right. But fun fact for the people and for the fans and whatnot, I'd say majority of the people that existed in the universe of like the anchor and the bar and all of that, and overall really the townspeople of Bristol Cove, right?
Yeah.
All the extras and all of that, background performers, they were very consistent from day one. Like there were people that were working with us from season 1 all the way through season 3.
Oh, it was all the same people.
And so to bring it all back to, when we're talking about our journey together, season 3 really was that much more special. Especially I remember, in the scene where I proposed to Janine, they made sure that they cast and they brought back all of the familiar faces that we've had over the seasons to be at the anchor that evening that I proposed to her. Because Calvin was running around trying to get everyone and
get everybody there, yeah.
So when I was proposing to her and everyone was cheering, those were genuine cheers. People.
They were
off camera. I had like a few. There was a few of them that I'm friends with now because of just spending so much time with them over the years. But they actually came up to me and they're like hugging me and they're like, "I'm so proud of you, man." And I'm like, "Well, we're not really getting married.
We're not really getting married.
No, but forget that. Like, just to see you get your moment to shine, brother. Like, and so we really did cultivate like this family sort of, like I said, culture that was so beautiful.
Yeah, and I remember like too, everybody just when you got on there, I remember that like there was like that first day, there was like it was a genuine like moment. It was like all those moments were genuine. That reminds me of the funeral too in season 1. It was very much like that. Like that was a long couple of days.
Right.
Because I think the whole sequence of just inside the anchor took 2 days to shoot.
Yep.
We were there for 2 days.
Yeah, 2 days of tears.
Yeah, I had 2 full days of crying. I think I cried almost every scene in that episode. Like every single scene I was in, I had tears in my eyes.
Ian is the worst method actor to work with, guys. Guy was just crying all day, every day, even when he was happy.
I was just like, because I had to be so
good.
I had to be so broken. I just remember just being like, it's okay. And they were like, hey, do you need a break? I was like, no, I just need to be in this moment. And I remember doing that whole speech out. And like, that's the thing, like the extras were in it. Like, every one of those moments, like everybody, because it all enhances everyone's performance, the more you're focused. So nobody was like on the sideline, just not engaged with what was going on. And that made me want to do it too. Like, cause I remember I did my monologue the first day of shooting, and I did all the crying, all the whole thing. And then we had to do it again, the same scene, the next day, pretty much all day, to get the turnaround of everybody in the bar, because I was like in a corner. It was just on me.
So you had to remember exactly how you cried, when you cried, or when you teared.
And still do those tears so everybody else could perform and act off of them as reactions, even though none of those tears ended up on camera.
So just so that people know, so you are theater trained, correct? You went in the UK?
I did train in the UK, but I went to college at Cal Arts with a few crazy contemporaries at this point that work a lot of my time. And then yeah, I studied at the British American Drama Academy in Oxford.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Where Professor Snape was one of my teachers before Alan Rickman, before he died.
Wow.
He was a teacher.
Wicked. So
really wicked.
So crying and all of that, was that something that you picked up in school, or is that something that you are easily, you have easy access to, or something that you self-taught?
No, it took work. I remember when I went to college, one of my best friends in college, his name is Sean Lynch. He's a spectacular actor. And I remember him being able to just I used to call him the faucet because it would just like on and off, like at a drop of a hat. And I was like, how are you doing that? How are you doing it? He's like, oh. So I just, I think for a lot of people, I remember we had this, we had an exercise in college they called jumps by our teacher. His name was Craig Belknap. He doesn't teach at CalArts anymore, but he was there in my years. Don't
hate yourself. Don't hate yourself.
It's okay. I'm getting to the numbers where when people are surprised when I tell them, I'm just kind of like, yes, give me more. I feed on this. But Craig, he had these improv classes. They're called jumps. So basically you'd like come up with a scenario as homework, and then you basically the basis of drama is conflict. Is I want something, I want it from you, and you're not going to give it to me. What are my tactics to get that thing? And that's what creates tension, which creates drama, and that's what makes an interesting scene. So you come up with, okay, I'm this person, I want this, and I want this, and this, and that's it. That's what I want, and this is our relationship. And then you just get up, you sit in a circle, and you stand up, and you just start talking to somebody. You pick somebody at random. They have no idea what the hell is going on, and you just start going, improv. And they're supposed to just pick it up, understand the relationship, and then their only job is to not give you that thing that you're asking for, and then you create drama that way. And so that was our first year. And then in our fourth year, we went back to it, but then we had to choose a moment from our lives. And I remember I chose like a really painful moment from a time in high school, and I used it, and I just remember breaking down, and my teacher just had like, Ian, come back. Mm-hmm. And it was the first time I had like access, because that's the thing. Once you realize where you can access and where that lives inside of you, it's easier to get back to it, because I'm more of the person who, I'm not very like method where, I need to, pretend these circumstances exist all the time. It's for me, it's more just kind of like, that's the art of it, right? Like is I'm not really feeling these things, but the art is the illusion of it, to make it feel honest and seem honest and be honest, even though, this isn't what I'm really going through. It's acting.
Right. But just to break it down for the people watching, I mean, so I truly think that anybody can just cry. That's easy, right? But
yeah.
What we're talking about here is like what Ian did in that episode. I think that was episode 8 of season 1.
8 of 1.
We're talking about, a 2-page monologue where he does his thing, tears are flowing, and that's just the one scene. He cries like a bunch other times, and then we're talking about, multiple takes of the wide shot, right? To set it up, and then we're talking about getting coverage, and then we're talking about close-up. So we're talking, when you add it all up, we're talking easily over 24 times you had to cry on cue with
easy.
The phone. I mean, that's a whole other level of skill. This is not just, crying, whatever. This was like specific, the specificity of hitting these targets and moments. To be able to have that readily available to you, I think is.
It depends on the actor too, right? Like for me, because they have things like, they have things they're called, I mean, this is an industry secret, but they have things called menthols. Yep. They put in your eyes if you have a hard time, that'll make you tear up. And I don't have, personally, I try not to use them. because I personally can see the difference when they're used. So if I see it on camera,
they sting like a mofo. You put them on and you can't help but to ugly cry because it's so painful. You're like,
also the tear tends to stick, right?
Yeah.
Like the way that it comes out of the eye, it comes off in a way that normal tears usually don't. Like when you really cry and your eyes glass over and it wells up and then it drops. Right. So it's just like unless you're doing that, the menthol is going to be a quick reaction. You're going to be like this, and you're going to be fighting against the menthol in your eye, and right. But there are some actors that can take that challenge and make it so take and use it, and you would never know.
Right. Which is
that's a skill. It's a skill in
itself. Yeah.
Yeah. I try not to, but then you do feel like I remember like going home after those days and your eyes are raw. Like it's just kind of like you're just, and you're emotionally drained. You're emotionally raw. Like everything just like you're like an open nerve.
What was the?
No, go ahead. Well, I was gonna say what was.
You go.
It's your show.
Was that? Would you rate that scene or that particular experience as one of the better memories of the whole Siren experience for you?
Definitely that ranks up there for me. Just as far as like the work that I'm proud of, like I'm really proud of the episode, and I was proud I was able to do it. Mm-hmm. But there are a few things that I was really proud. I was very proud of episode 7. I was very proud of the jail episode in season 2 when we all went to prison, which I think is also that scene is also some of your greatest work on the show too. Is that scene in the jail cell?
You're talking about this one, correct?
Yeah. Well, no, that's season 1. That's the end of season 1.
Oh, okay. Yes. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. That's definitely. I'm talking about the one where you got in the fight when you and you handed it to Ben about his white privilege.
I waited 2.5 seasons to hand it to his ass.
Yeah, it was so good. It was so juicy.
Oh man,
you're just sitting there, just like, yeah, pretty much.
That was so funny. Oh, one day, there's more stories to tell from that particular day, but maybe I won't unleash on here. But I had a lot.
Instagram only gives us so much time.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun on that, and but you know what? I don't know about for you. I'd say my favorite overall experience altogether was probably in episode 7 when we were. I mean, most of my favorite moments were when we were actually on the boat. And, we shoot in Vancouver, BC, which is one of the most beautiful places in the world. And we were actually out there on the boat. And so it was super helpful, right? Because acting is reacting. And so when we're out there dealing with nature and dealing with all of these things, and we had real mermaids jumping out of the water, it was pretty easy to react off of that, in my opinion. But
yeah.
But
or when they have the rain coming down.
Yeah, with the rain belt. Yeah. But when we had all of those action sequences, that whole episode was probably my favorite. Do you have a favorite episode?
Oh, wow. I think all of it's, well, you know what? Season 3, the island was a lot of fun. It was seriously hard. It was one of the hardest days I had on the show. I think all of us. I mean, and I had, huh?
That was the one when you went to Rob's Merms,
That was the Alaska show. I wasn't in the Alaska part. This was the island part where we went off because Katrina was off on the island, and then there was a big battle on the island.
Epic.
Amanda
Rose shot that episode.
Yeah, that was Amanda Rose episode, and it was really wet the whole day. It was an early day. We were there at the break ass of dawn, and all the rain in that episode was real. It was pouring all day. The wind was whipping up, tents got blown down. You know, it was serious. And then I also remember I had pulled a muscle in my back just the day before shooting. I had a pulled muscle in my back, and I had to carry around that heavy ass shotgun all day. And like there were 2 shotguns. There was a rubber shotgun and there was the metal one. And every time there was a close up, I had to pull it out, whip up that one, and my back was killing me. And I was like popping aspirin every 5 seconds. And then I also had to like do a pratfall into the mud. And I was like 4 or 5 takes of just slamming face down into a pile of mud while my back was pulled over and over and over again. And I will say it was a lot of work. It was really challenging, but it was just seeing the episode and seeing how it turned out. And it was very rewarding. And it was one of the few, because, you know, we only got so many times per season where so many people were on set at the same exact time. Right. It was that season was the wedding was a big high moment, because that was the first time all of us were on set at the same time. And we all got to dress up and everybody was pretty. And it was great. It was a lot of glamour.
We had a dance number.
The dance number!
You got to have like a weird seizure.
I did. That luckily didn't take too many takes.
The brain seizure thing from Tia's character.
It was all great. I remember Rena was like, "Are you okay?" Because my eyes were rolling in the back of my head, and it was like, "I'm just acting."
I remember the next few episodes, you just got to just lay in the hospital bed, so that was easy breezy.
Oh, yes. Episode 9 was amazing. I fell asleep. Both of those scenes that I was in, I literally was asleep. I was sound asleep.
I just loved all of these moments. I'm just gonna fire through them, and like, you know, going back again. I hate to harp on
that. Was great too.
Talking about the journey of, you know what I mean, our duo and our friendship and our journey. You know,
you are the wind beneath my wings.
Dude, I'm telling you, it was that boat was magical.
That day was magical as fuck. That was a beautiful day too. It was like a perfect day.
You know, especially coming out of this quarantine where I've had a lot of time to reflect again. You know what I mean? Coming out of the you know, whatever the pandemic has caused, that in the last 4 or 5 months have been great. But then to now come back and then to have 2 weeks of just being forced to be by myself and having to reassess everything again. You know, you were on my mind a lot, man, because the realization of, you know, at the end of the day, Siren, for all intents and purposes, it was amazing on so many levels. It was tough at times, right? And you and I have
totally
several conversations, you know, between us, between the rest of the cast, between whatever, right? But at the end of the day, going back and looking at these pictures, watching some of the episodes, you know, this is what I mean by why I don't take anything for granted, because just so the people out there know, like, as an actor, just to get the role in itself, I mean, we go through 100 no's before we might get a yes. You know what I mean? Constantly, we're living in a high pressure game and you know, mentality. So to be awarded the role, or to be, you know, selected to play the role, that is a victory in itself. But then once you get the job, that's just like the tipping point, right? Like, how many millions of things need to work out perfectly in order for you to just have a great day, right? Yeah. I learned this when you weren't there that day, but something as simple as even driving to work. You know, this is episode 2. Nick Kopis was shooting that episode. I was an hour late for work because I got in a massive car accident on my way to.
Hey, I remember you telling. I was there that day. You had come and you had. I remember you talking to me about that.
We weren't in the scene together, but yeah, okay. You were there that day. But just that's what I mean, though. You know what I mean? To have everyone come to set safely and on time, and to have everyone through hair and makeup, and you know what I mean? And then everyone bring it on set. So my point is to have 3 seasons of just magic.
Yeah.
Where we were able to pull it off. It's if you think about it that way, it's truly a miracle. You know what I mean? And and looking back, we've had so many brilliant moments that we got to experience together, and I'm very, very appreciative of the time and the journey that we've had together.
Yeah, man. I think no
one can tell me that Siren wasn't. You know, I get this a lot. A lot of people say, "Oh man, I wish Siren should have been on, you know, Netflix," or "Man, if only this, if only that." But I'm like, "Nah, man. Siren did exactly what it needed to do."
Yeah, it did exactly what was needed to do, and it was around as long as it needed to be. You know, like, I mean, that's how the universe works. It's how the world works. It's just it was a great 3 seasons. It was a great 4 years for us. And life changing. It was just utterly life changing. I mean, none of us are billionaires, you know. For those of you who think that's what acting is, unless you're Jennifer Aniston, it's not that. So it's not like we all, like, you know, we're still, you know, working stiffs. We're still, you know, working people. It's a job. It's a job we all love. It's a very privileged job. It's a job we're all very thankful for, and we've all spent a lot of years and a lot of time and a lot of money training and getting the things that we need to be able to do it. But, you know, I think everybody is humble enough to know that it's something to be grateful for. You know, it's nothing to feel entitled about.
But it's very, but you know, it is very easy to slip up at times and to think that you're deserving of it. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's the thing too. Like, you know, I think that's also the joy and the blessing of coming to it a little later in life. You know, like, not that we're not like 50 and to start working, which is nothing. That's great too. You know, there's nothing wrong with that at all. There's no timeline for any of this.
Right.
But I mean, I feel like culture, and specifically American culture, and I think in this way Canada can be quite similar. There's this emphasis on it all happening when you're freaking 18, 20 years old. So it's like, unless you were Nick Jonas, or unless you were Demi Lovato or Selena Gomez, or, you know, unless you popped off when you were 20. And it's just like, you know, some of us just don't have that, weren't built with that kind of privilege. So, you know, I think part of the thing of starting, like, because I booked Siren, we did the pilot, I had just turned 31.
Right.
So it's when you come to it at that age, having gone through so much and having struggled so hard and done so many things, I think there's an innate appreciation for what you're doing and for being able to be there, you know. And so for me, my experience is that sense of entitlement isn't there, because you know how tenuous it all is. And you know how much of it's an illusion.
Right.
It's not what's supposed to be. It's something you work for and you continue to work for. You're never just there.
Right.
And that humility keeps your work good.
Absolutely. And that humility keeps your work good, but then also it's important to have that sort of support base and group around you that grounds you as so, because I remember, you know, I was probably guilty of it too when I was first starting out, but then, you know, I see this a lot of times with just new actors in general, where, you know, you get a call sheet and then there's ADs, and, you know, they're asking, Mr. whatever, Mrs. So-and-so, can I get you a coffee? Can I get you breakfast? And it's so easy to misinterpret that as, oh, yes, I've made it. Okay, yes, you damn right, you better get my coffee. But when you pull back and you realize the reality of it is, no, there's an AD getting you your coffee because you need to be in hair and makeup so that you can be ready. It has nothing to do with you being a superstar or any of that. There's a practicality.
Golden toilet paper. Yeah.
But then that's one side of it. And then the other side is like people, there is sort of this rhetoric or this idea that people want to make it as soon as possible, and then they want to make it as young as possible because it's easy to compare yourself, right? Like, look at all these you know, these up and coming stars, they're in their early 20s or whatever. But
My leg fell asleep.
most of the time, again, you pull back and you realize, oh, right. No. Like, this was not overnight. This is a kid actor. This is a, you know, Selena Gomez, or, you know.
We worked since she was a fetus.
They've been acting, yeah.
Yeah.
Brie Larson, she's been acting since she was like 3.
Child actor. Cole Sprouse.
3. And I've watched them, right? So we forget that, oh, no, there is a process to this. There is a method to this madness, and it takes time. And so you're absolutely right. Like, I think that's also what made the experience of all of us, in terms of the cast coming together and becoming such close friends, is because we were all in a very similar place, and we're all fresh faces, but we've all been in the industry long enough, and we all came at this from a place of humility, and we all wanted to champion one another and really just put out good work, you know?
Yeah, and that's also a thing too, where none of us are legacy actors, or, you know, we're not legacy kids. Like,
right.
Yeah, like, and then nothing's that I know a few people, a few actors who are children of celebrities, and you know, which is great. If I had that luxury, then I would most certainly not be shy about it either.
Right.
But it's just a very different journey.
They have their own set of problems as well. You know?
their own thing. So it's like, when you don't have all of those things, and you really have to rely on the grit of your business acumen and your talent, because it's never just about talent. It's never just about how talented you are. While that's an important thing, you know, Will Smith says, you know, not verbatim, but, you know, 9 times out of 10, hard work beats talent every time.
Right.
You know, so you've got to be hardworking, and you have to be dedicated, and you have to have a really thick skin, you know, and a solid, unmovable belief in yourself, because you're going to hear so much crap, and you're going to hear so many no's, and you're going to hear so many people trying to tell you who and what you are throughout your career, especially as an actor. And I mean, I'm sure that's true for everyone.
Yeah.
And you need to have the resolve and the strength of self to be like, no, I'm not that, I am this. And I don't need to be that to be successful.
Right.
I can be this, and I can be genuinely myself, and I can live by the tenets of my own morality, by like what my values are, and I don't have to compromise them in order to be a success. Not because I'm living in this life and I am in this body and it's my choice. So what's good for you is good for you. What's good for me is good for me. And if you don't see it, that's okay. Somebody else will.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
And we went through that quite a bit, just within
Totally.
4 years, you know what I mean? And you've seen a lot of my highs and my lows, and vice versa. And, you know, it ain't easy. It's not, it's by far, you know, as nearly as glamorous as it's perceived to be. That's for sure. You know, there's been a lot of nights where, you know, you're just pulling your hair and just trying to make sense of any of it, because none of it makes sense at times, you know. And then there's times where it's just like, oh, this light goes off and you're like, oh, thank God, like, you know, everything had to happen in the way that it did, because if that didn't happen, like, I was crushed actually right before Siren came. I had just tested for another show, and I really, really wanted that one, and I didn't get it. Fast forward 6 months.
That's what we should talk. We should talk about the things that we didn't get. And
well,
what was the other show?
Right before Siren was, okay, so there was it was an HBO show called Here Now.
Oh yes.
And it was one of those things where I drove myself crazy because I was really into like signs at that time. Mm-hmm. And so I was in Mexico. I took my first vacation in like 5 years. I finally just put my foot down and said, no, I'm going. So I went to Mexico. I was with my best friend, and it was sort of like a birthday gift for me because my birthday is in December. And the day that I'm supposed to leave, my agent calls me and says, you got to go to LA and test. And I was like, but I'm going to Mexico. What? And he's like, what? When are you going? I'm like, right now. I'm literally like about to board the flight. And so we ended up compromising. I went to Mexico, spent like 2 days there. My poor friend had to like literally play my life coach because I was freaking out. And I think that was the first time I had tested at that point. But anyways, so I went for 2 days and then I flew to LA on my birthday to test. So that alone, I was like, oh, it's my birthday. And then I was seeing 11:11 every single day. And every single time I looked at my watch, I stayed at the Roosevelt Hotel, and I was staying on floor 11 in room 1111, things like that, right? And I was like, oh yeah, like it's all in my favor, you know.
This is it, yeah.
And then you know what it's like to be in that process when you're that close, and to see that the dynamics at play, and you know you see the other person that you're up against and what that can do.
Does to your head.
But I didn't get it, and I was really crushed. But then, you know, fast forward 6 months later, and then it's like Siren comes, and it's been the best experience of my life, you know. And no shade on that other show, but I'm glad that I wasn't a part of it. Not from a place of like ego, but from a place of genuinely the person they cast was the right guy for it, and I'm happy that it just makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
And you were where you were supposed to be.
Exactly.
When you were supposed to be there.
And that experience, you know, informed me on so many other scenarios and situations that came after the fact, or after that time, right? But I would have never met y'all. I would have never met some of the loves of my life. English, I'm not very good at it. I'm sorry.
Me neither. Look at my sweat. This is like all stomach sweat.
And that's just with a very thin shirt, guys. We were shooting.
I told you I sweat for no damn reason. I'm like over here lactating.
So just so you know, Ian just gave birth, everyone.
Expect my congratulations, and I have a whole registry at Bed Bath & Beyond. For me though, like before Siren, I had my first test the year before in 2015. I tested for an anthology show called Truth and Lies.
Okay.
And I was going up to play Michael Ealy's younger brother. Okay. And I was just kind of like, I remember just being like, oh shit, this is mine.
You're like, have they seen my eyes?
This is mine.
Yeah.
And so I remember going, and I was like, you know, super confident, like had my 3-piece suit and, you know, all this other stuff. I was supposed to be like a lawyer. And then I audition and I start to go, and then I go, oh shit, I got to produce callback. Oh shit, I got to produce a session. Oh shit, they want me to do a test. It was the first test. I was nervous as hell. And then I remember going in for the test, and seeing the other two guys I was up against. It was me, 2 other dudes, and the 2 other guys. One was Charlie Barnett, and who actually was the person who ended up booking it, was Charlie.
Okay.
And Kendrick Sampson.
Right. So
it was the 3 of us going up for that role, and it was my first test. I know Kendrick had worked before, and Charlie had just got off of what was it, Chicago PD. So, and that's often a thing you see in Hollywood, is just kind of like, oh, we're the light-skinned black guys. Yeah, you all go to the same role.
Right.
So I remember it was really nerve-wracking, and then they couldn't decide between the 2 of us. We had to test twice. We did a first test, and then they just couldn't decide between me and Charlie, and it was like, oh, I was like just cringing up in here. And then I remember getting the call that I didn't get it on. I was driving to my aunt. You know, my aunt did the Black Expo in Oakland, and I was driving with my mom upstate, and I got the call in the car, and the rest of the trip I was just out. I was down because I knew it was mine. I just knew it was mine.
Right.
And I was depressed for like a solid 2 weeks.
I don't know if you can say it on here, but is that a show now, looking back in hindsight, is that a show that you were happy that you had dodged?
I mean, who's to say? I mean, like, I'm happy in the sense that, again, you know, your journey is your journey, and your roles are your roles, and they meet you at where you need them and where you're prepared for them. I don't know if I would have been as well prepared for that journey at that time in my life as I was a year later.
Right.
You know, I had been through I'd been through much more hell by the time Siren had happened. I had a really rough one after that year was really rough. So, and also who knows if Siren would have happened, you know, who knows if that was a thing. And I remember also when I was working on Life's a Drag, and I really went right back. I was doing my own work. I was writing, and I still am today. It's just, I probably wouldn't have gone so gung-ho on falling right into the writing and doing the festival circuit with
Right.
Life's a Drag, which is what I was on the track to do. Like, Siren came out of nowhere. So it ended up like breaking my heart so much. And but by the time I really got over it, I was like on a track. I mean, I told you this. I had a pitch meeting for my show at a network the day before I had my studio test for Siren. So I just remember by the next year, I had just this embarrassment of riches, you know, by something that I had created and that I had like nurtured to move forward as a project of my own. And then another project that came out of the blue, out of the deep blue. And so it was just like, well, it could go either way. Who knows? And it ended up being Siren. So it's just, you never know what and why or how. You just kind of have to meet the moment where you're at. And that includes the current moment where Siren is over. And I think for each and every one of us, it's just kind of like, that was the journey that it was supposed to be. It was beautiful for what it is and was. Yeah. And there's a new journey coming out for everyone. And I think everyone has so much talent and such beautiful souls that it's going to be so amazing, just fulfilling and entertaining to see how the journeys kind of evolve for each of us, you know, and to be able to like support each other just as much as we have been. Like, I'm still going to cheerlead you and Aline and Fala and Alex and Rena, everybody. I'm going to be a cheerleader for absolutely everyone. Tammy and Hannah, and
right.
And our dear Jerry, David K. Jerry. So yeah, life be crazy like that. Life be crazy like that.
Well said, man. I mean, and by the way, for those of you watching, if you haven't seen his series Life's a Drag, go check it out ASAP on YouTube. Is it only on YouTube, or does it live anywhere else?
It's just on YouTube. If you look up Life's a Drag, the series, you'll see it. There are 2 episodes up, and you will see me in full drag. I'm like a full-on drag queen.
I highly recommend you check it out. It is a work of art, and I especially enjoyed watching it because it was for the first time I got to see a different side to you, right? Because I had only seen you do Xander for however many years, right? And to see someone that is sort of like a version of yourself, but I mean, it was very true to you, right? Mm-hmm. Based on, you know.
Yeah, Mel is very much so inspired by a heightened version of me. Yeah,
exactly. But to see a character where you could really just reel it in and just hone in and bring it so much closer to you, it was actually really, really refreshing and nice to see. I was like, wow, yes. And it was a reminder that that's the beauty of, I mean, you're saying that, you know, it was because of that show not going that you started writing, but.
Well, I had written it before, but I really
went
to the festival circuit right after that.
Right. But that's the beauty of creating your own stuff. And that's why I'm such a strong advocate for that. You know, if you're not getting these opportunities and if you're not getting those calls, then you got to create it yourself. And now coming back to Vancouver and plugging back in, you know, it took a long time to work on it mentally, but I'm in a really great place right now, and I have a really great relationship with the career. Mm-hmm. in that I'm not rushing, and I'm not bending backwards anymore.
Yes.
You know, being in this rat race as long as I have, you know, you learn when to take your punches and when to pull them. You know what I mean? And and I'm right now, I'm all about just bringing the power to yourself, making sure that you're good, your priorities are all in order. But mental health comes first. You know what I mean? Like I came back, and I won't say what projects, but like I came back, I missed out on 2 that I had basically booked, but because of the quarantine dates and then because of the testing and all that, just the dates didn't work out. But I was on hold. I was the top Canadian choice for a role. So, I was quarantining, kind of getting ready for that. And then I found out that they ended up going with the American choice. And so it's just, there's 2 ways to look at it. Either I can fall right back into that same dynamic in that relationship that I had, or I can go, you know what, like I got bigger fish to fry.
Yours is coming, whatever it is.
I got to focus on whatever the things are that I can focus on and have control over. And that's really all you can do.
Exactly.
Right.
No matter what happens. I mean, that's happened to me. Like, I don't know. I mean, I could say this because the movie's about to come out and it's going to be huge. I knew it would be. I was up for, actually, I think, weren't you on set with me? I was going over the audition. We were shooting like episode 9 and I was working on the audition for this. Regina King's new movie, One Night in Miami. So I was auditioning for that. I was up for Malcolm X.
Right.
And the guy that went in right before me, he's the one that booked it. He's literally the guy that was right before me. And there have been several projects where I've been asked where I've auditioned for Malcolm X. I played him once in college for like a college show, some shit. Right. So it's like I've been like circling around the idea of playing, and also there's just being black and being so fair. There's only so many historical black characters and figures I can play when they're immortalized on film. There's only so many. Like I'm never gonna play Malcolm X. I mean, not Malcolm X. I'm never gonna play Martin Luther King. It's never gonna happen.
Right.
But I've got Malcolm X. I've got Smokey Robinson, and maybe like a few other, maybe Cab Calloway in there. So it's one of those things where I didn't get it, but I was so into it, and you just have to think, what, if it's not mine, it's not mine. And I expected it to floor me when I didn't get it. I mean, it is definitely a bit of a sting when you just when you see it, because it's going to be a big deal. There's certain scripts you get where it's going to be a big deal, and so it's bittersweet. Even though I highly recommend everybody watch the movie. The script was amazing. I can't wait to see it myself. I can't wait to see what Ben did with Malcolm X and what everybody did with those characters and with those people. Because it's a brilliant script, and I'm sure Regina King just killed it. I'm sure she did. Yeah. But you just got to think about, okay, maybe that wasn't mine, but I know I'm getting close. Like it's getting close, and what's mine will be mine. Right?
I needed reminding of that recently. I'm not gonna lie, and we say this now confidently, but really and truly, when we're going through it, it's very, very tough. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that it's easy.
No, it's not easy.
Nothing about this career is easy. But at the end of the day, there is so much truth to that. I mean, and I think that the sooner we can realize it as artists, learning how to play like yourself is one important thing. And then also realizing that what's yours is yours, and whatever is meant to be in that regard, that it is a real thing. Like going back to that whole Alan Ball show on HBO, I was upset I missed that one, but genuinely, I was genuinely proud of the guy that ended up playing, the part. But there's been, I think within those 2 years, I tested 2 more times, and then I was very, very close, like down to at least the last 3 or 4 projects that you had helped me out with a few of them.
Yeah.
Those ones, but there's been a few where I'm like, whoo, thank God, man. Like after they came out, I was like, ooh, dodged a bullet there. You know what I mean?
Dodged a bullet.
And then this was during season 1, season 2, where we were having so much fun with the show, but we didn't know where the show was going to go. And we didn't know that it was going to have the effect that it did, But then they just kept writing this great stuff. And then Xander had this, wonderful place that he ended up. Calvin had this wonderful journey and where he ended up. And, I think,
they gave us some good arcs.
It was a really great close to a wonderful chapter, and I cannot wait to see what's next for us, my man, my brother.
I can't wait to see you flourish, man. freaking blur.
what are you excited about in these times right now? What gets you,
I think,
what gets you going? What gets you up in the morning? What keeps you hopeful?
I mean, I think a lot of people in the world, and specifically in the United States, can attest to a genuine battle to stay hopeful, because things in the world can feel very bleak and very out of our control. And for me, is like what we were saying earlier, is like it's literally about focusing on the things that we can at this point, you know, and to making our voices heard. Like I've been here, there's been a lot of protests, going to a lot of marches and a lot of protests, and trying to be useful in that way, in that capacity, trying to use my platform in a responsible and knowledgeable way. But at the same time, taking time for myself, you know, and focusing on, like you said before, my mental health, my spiritual health, my physical health, my, you know, centering on ourselves and realizing kind of what we need in order to be happy, and focusing on that, because I think we all, and I can attest for myself, have a tendency to center others' happiness a lot of times, you know, and I think the healthiest, most constructive thing we can do is to make sure that we're happy, because you can't really lift anyone else up unless you're already flying, right? Like, so I'm not gonna get you to fly if I'm like drowning in quicksand.
Right.
So for me, it's been about focusing on my creative self and getting back to my art and getting back to expressing what's inside of me. And creating characters and worlds that I'm inspired by, that just fulfill me. You know, how can I wake up and work on fulfilling myself and feeling fulfilled and feeling happy and feeling whole within myself, and doing that work, you know, and whatever that work means for anybody that's out there listening, it's personal. It's a personal journey. For me, it's meditation. For me, it's art. For me, it's writing. For me, it's, you know, it's exercise. For me, it's an amount of solitude, which quarantine has certainly offered all of us. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of isolation and that kind of just sedation, just being sedentary for a second and being forced to sit down, makes you think about things in a deeper and more introspective way. And you have to be honest with yourself about where you are and where you want to be. And sometimes you have to make very difficult and painful choices in order to reach the fullest potential of the person that you want to evolve into. Right. So that's really where a lot of my energy and focus has been. And that's where a lot of my hope comes from, because though these times may be hard, you know, it's a cliche, but you know, there's always a rainbow at the end of the storm. You know, like there's always a sunny sky after the hurricane, and you may have to pick some shit up. It may be devastating, and it may be broken, and it may be destroyed even.
Right.
But as long as you're there, you can pick it back up and you can rebuild it into a stronger foundation, and make a much more beautiful structure than there was there before. You know, everything's impermanent, everything is transient, and the only thing that has any sense of permanence is you, and even that is impermanent. Right. So just focus on happiness.
Moment, day to day, month to month thing at this point, especially in these times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
Well said, man.
How about you?
I mean, everything you said, I think you nailed it on the head. The only thing I have to add to that is really just in this particular moment, I think, especially being back in Vancouver, in a city that I've spent enough time away from, that I feel kind of like an alien. And I deliberately stayed. So I'm in an Airbnb right now that is outside of the cities, but I have this bird's eye view of where I used to live, and like where the main downtown area is and all that. And it's funny, like I feel like right now I've been gifted this opportunity to really start with a fresh new canvas, And so that's all I'm excited about. I don't want to jump the gun and label it as anything or attach anything to it. My cup has been emptied, so to speak, and I'm just looking forward to filling it with passion, inspiration, and meaningful things that in the present and like on a micro level, things that bring me joy and opportunities where I can continue bringing other people joy. And then in the macro, I think that's what I want my legacy to be. You know, everything that I either touched or that I was a part of, or the relationships that I've had, I just want it to all sort of be positive.
Yeah.
And that's something that I feel like I can control, and I hope that I can continue to do. You know, Paula and I dropped Grandma's 80th Surprise this past week online, and just
Which, if you haven't watched that, watch that. It's amazing. It's so good.
Thank you.
Seriously, I was so impressed. You guys did such a great job. You as a writer, like, it's so well written. As a performer, so well done. As directed, it's just so well done.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and it deserves all the play that it's getting, and that it has gotten, and that it will get, because you know there's so much heart in it. It's so good, so good.
We hesitated big time on releasing it to the world because, you know, a number of things crossed our mind. Is it passé now? Does it feel like we're just adding, you know, more? You know, there's a lot of noise out there, you know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people trying to, you know, struggling and fighting for eyeballs and attention. But thankfully, we decided that it was the right thing to do. And it was a message that we truly believe in. And we were just floored by the reaction and to see how it really connected and resonated with people all over the world, of all races, both genders, you know, religion, creed, all of that. It's been a really beautiful and humbling experience. And so that, coming home to that, was really the light that sparked up and that was apparent. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, that is exactly what I want to continue doing with my life.
Yes.
So whatever I do, whatever falls in front of me or on my lap, I just know that it has to somehow connect to that feeling. And so I'm just starting there and seeing where it takes me. You know what I mean? I'm not going to put pressure of like I said, putting a ceiling on it or putting a label to it, or you know, even you know, I have goals, but I'm not going to limit that feeling in this space that I'm in right now. So yeah, we'll see what comes out of that. You know what I mean? We're just
there's going to be so much that comes out. There's going to be so much. There's going to be, I can see so much great art coming out of this time. You know, times of strife and self-reflection always create amazing art. You know, they always do. Times when even times of oppression create great art as people speak up against that oppression, and against that knee on the neck.
Yeah.
It creates something where people use their voices in many different ways, and I just feel like this time really is going to create some amazing music, amazing films, amazing poetry, amazing pieces of work that speak to what everybody is feeling. Because I kind of feel like, you know, everyone in this time can share, in the very least, in that group emotion. You know, like we're all kind of experiencing the same thing, that same anxiety, that same listlessness, that same almost dread, and that same kernel of hope, you know, all at the same time. It's so much nuance.
Sorry to interrupt, but
Go ahead.
You're bang on, because historically speaking, you know, in all of the darkest moments in, you know, the more present history, like you said, what comes out of that has always been sort of beautiful, whether it's just a moment of humanity or if it's art or you know what I mean. But
yeah, that's one thing I will regret. I do regret that we weren't able to address on Siren, which I would have really loved, especially now. I would have loved a storyline, especially since Xander became a cop.
yeah,
I would have loved a storyline where Xander or Maddie had to explain the basics and the reality and the danger of race to Levi and to Cammy. Because that was always something that for me, it's like, I know on the show, a lot of they tried, there was kind of almost like we don't see the idea of color and the idea of how that affects human society wasn't necessarily addressed on the show.
right.
And I thought that it was a great opportunity for us to really talk about it in a nuanced way, and even in a fantastical way, because I feel like a lot of times when we talk about fantasy and we talk about genre, we forget that, especially if they're set in the real world, or even if they're not set in the real world, that the real world is watching these things.
Yep.
You know, we're coming from a place where we understand those kind of laws and those kind of rules that are either spoken or unspoken, and to bring that into the world of fantasy, I think makes that world seem so much more real, and especially as a Black person, as a person of color, it reaches into you, you know, and to feel the validation of that pain, even in a fantastical setting, is something that, for me at least, is like makes us feel seen, makes me feel seen, and makes that struggle feel seen and shared. It's like, okay, now people are disarmed, so you can talk about those kinds of things, especially if you're going to have multicultural mermaids.
Right.
So I think that was something that unfortunately we weren't able to do, but we got season 4. I was going to fight hard.
Yeah. Well, I've spoken on that before as well, you know, in certain interviews. You know, Siren did a great job in terms of sort of, steering clear of politics on the nose, right? Or racial relations or race altogether, really. But it's a double-edged sword in a way, right? You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because by not doing it, like you said, you're kind of not robbing people, but like you're missing an opportunity to connect on that deeper level, which is why, going back to that prison or that jail episode, you know, that's why I saw an opportunity there. I saw this opening, and I immediately took Joe aside, and I was like, Joe, these are my ideas with this scene. This is what I want to do with this scene. And thankfully, he was cool with it. Amanda was cool with it. But really and truly, you know, it was underlining sort of white privilege. And Joe was like, thankfully, he was like, yes, this is exactly what it's about, regardless if we want to acknowledge that or not. But you and I know that this is exactly what this is. And so that's exactly how I played it. And
but that also speaks to having Joe in that position of power, because Joe's Latino, you know. So it's just like when you have people of color in different positions of power that you can have that kind of conversation with without feeling like you're either going to be misunderstood or dismissed.
right.
Or feel like, oh no, we can't go there because,
Right.
you know, that's why it's so important to have people in those positions. So it's not all on us,
Right.
because when we are the colored folks in the cast, we are the faces of those storylines. And so the responsibility falls on us, you know, like, so even though we're not in there writing the episode, we're not breaking story and all those other things, you know, we get seen as the embodiment of those choices.
You and I know that all too well.
All too well. So
I spoke about this in the episode I did with Milan and Georgia, where I was just, you know, I was so happy to see again, talking about journey, from season 1 to season 3, seeing how the fans, you know, the polarizing difference between the reactions, right? Like season 1.
Oh yeah.
They hated us. I mean, you especially, but
Oh, they came for me.
uh,
I got it. I killed the Black Mermaid.
yeah, exactly.
I got some stuff.
Um,
And I was just like, I'm black too, guys.
right. And they're like, no, shut up. We don't care. And you are this character in real life, so we hate you.
Yeah, I was like, also he's fictional.
But yeah, and then now, and to see the fans now just absolutely adore your character and you, and you know what I mean. It's really beautiful to see. So,
Yeah.
really, this is what this was all about, man. I just wanted to. I miss you. I miss your face. Miss your
face. I'm so glad I got to see your face. Like I'm touching your face.
Yeah, man. Just I cannot wait till I'm back in LA or you're back shooting something up here, and
Matter of time.
you know,
Matter of time. They will be in face masks and face shields and giant body condoms.
we'll have those. Yeah. But we can't. But 2 condoms can't rub against each other, right? That's never mind.
Yeah. I'm sure someone's tried it.
Yeah. But yeah, man, just that's what this was all about, just connecting, and just I didn't want to pass or miss the opportunity to speak on the wonderful 4 years that we've shared together. I mean, it's all over my social media. I mean, it's no surprise, but you know, the relationship that we cultivated was very instrumental and important to me in my growth as a human, as Calvin's growth on the show, but in our community that we've kind of cultivated together. So
No, the feeling is
good for you, brother.
unbelievably mutual, man. I'm so happy that you are in my life, though it has to be virtual at this particular point in time.
Oh, good.
Glad you're healthy and safe. I'm so thankful for you and your energy and your spirit. And for those who don't know how unbelievably magnanimous and warm and open and just fucking cool this guy is.
How dare you use words I can't spell?
I get multisyllabic on your ass. But yeah, for those who don't know, Curtis is just an upstanding, genuine, real, big-hearted human being, just the realest of real human beings. And you deserve nothing but success. You deserve nothing but love. You deserve nothing but, you know, your dreams coming true. I can't wait to see what the future holds for you, man, and what you're gonna do with it, because you're brilliant and you deserve it, man. You fucking deserve it.
Well, put her there, pal. All right back at you. I love you so much. Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for that 2 hours of trying to get on IG Live and then this extra hour on here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me on Coffee with Curtis. I haven't actually finished this giant cup of coffee. It's still some in here.
Oh, the Siren is the right way around this time. Great. Well, yeah,
is it?
Brilliant.
Yes. Awesome.
To all the people watching, thank you so much. Thank you for bearing with us, you know, near the beginning there. The relationship that we've had with you guys as the fans has also been great.
Yes, thank you guys.
That I do not take for granted whatsoever.
Yeah.
Keep sharing your love with us, and you know we will always do our best to share our love back, because we love y'all and we appreciate y'all. The journey that we've all taken together in the last 4 years has meant the world to us. So thank you to the Siren fans. Mwah.
Yes, thank you guys. Thank you for everything.
Yeah.
More to come. Just
More to
not
come.
of Siren specifically.
But stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, bro.
Yes.
All right, man. Well, speaking of which, I got to get to an audition that
Yes. Go book that shit.
that I got to start learning lines for. So yeah,
No time like the present.
I love you,
especially
brother.
if you're auditioning tonight. Love you, sir. Love you. This is great. This is great. This is awesome. Love you
This
so
was
much.
awesome. This was awesome.
Yes.
You were very good at English and stuff. And
Oh, it's the only language I speak, so I better be somewhat good at it.
all right, man. I'll talk to you soon. All right. Be well.
Love you, man. Talk to you soon. You too. Stay healthy. Stay safe.
You as well. You already know.
Yes.
Mwah.
Mwah. Got your back.